Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Special guest.
Welcome to
guest.
Welcome to Root Shoots and Coffee. I'm your guest, and this is our host.
I thought I was doing the intro. I told you would tackle this.
You are.
Okay. Welcome to Root Shoots and Coffee. I'm Haley, your actual host, and this is just my guest for the day.
I'm just the guest for the day.
No, I'm very happy to have you on. I think this will be a good time.
Cindy's at the dentist, and so I said, just jump in, and we'll be a guest for today.
Yeah.
Plus, I've always wanted to be a guest on your show.
It had to take till episode 40, but you're here.
I'm here. But yeah, so I'm honored. Thank you.
Luke! Jess is excited. Good morning, good morning. Hello. Just moved to Michigan and started my garden from watching you. Why, thank you. Just kidding. I think you mean him. But it's fine. I'll take it too.
So, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about fall, but we got to say hi to all our friends. Slowly roll, sir.
Good
morning, North Star. How are you?
So we say hello to everybody.
We do.
Okay, gotcha.
It's a community. Trying to say hi to our friends, see how they're doing.
Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Lori. What's going on? Canada. Hey, Melissa. Here they come. Wicked awesome. Welcome back, Randy.
I think the really cool thing about this morning show is that you get to know people.
I know.
Every once in a while I hear you talk about Chicken Patty.
Chicken Patty, yeah. Randy, he is our houseplant guy, and I'm so happy he stuck around even though we lost Kirsten. So thanks, Randy.
Yeah,
Melissa's awesome. Yeah, hi
we always
from
appreciate
June in North Carolina. June, you're living the life I want. I want to live there. Can't convince my husband it's not going well. Top of the morning. Top of the morning to you too, Kevin. So what's going on, guys? How's the weather? What you harvesting? Are you all done? Did you put your garden to the bed?
Yeah, I think Christine really hit the nail on the head. It's too early, but a good morning.
But Christina.
Yeah,
Christina. I just see who we're chatting with. You made it. And I'm happy you're here. She often misses her alarm due to the children.
Yeah, it's your body. We were talking about this morning that even though during the summer I probably would have been awake and like spry
for like 3 hours at least at this point.
3 hours at least.
Yeah.
I woke up at like 7:45 this morning, which is like an hour and a half later than normal.
Yeah.
And I still feel like I didn't get enough sleep. I'm like, why am I so...
What time did you go to bed?
About 11. So like solid eight and a half hours.
Yeah, plenty of time.
We're night owls.
I'm not. I'm like a 9:30 bedtime.
Well, in the summertime, I'm more of a night owl than I'm in the winter. I find myself going to sleep at like 9:30.
I'll have a bonfire at 6 to go to bed at 9. It's great. Anywho, Chicken Patty. We were just talking about you. Welcome. How was your and Cindy's trip? That's a great question. How was it?
It was really good.
Where'd you go again?
So we went through the East Coast. Yeah. So we drove from Michigan to New York City and then drove up to Connecticut, and we were going to make it up to Rhode Island and Maine. However, Mother Nature had other things in store for us. It rained the entire time driving over to New York City. And so what normally would have taken about 10 hours ended up taking 14.
That's crazy.
And now 4 hours didn't seem like that big of a difference, but when it's 10 hours, it's already almost a 2-day trip. So It was all of 2 days rather than, because you woke up later in the morning. We could have woken up super early, but you woke up at like 10, got on the road by like 11, and then you're driving there.
You didn't just drive at 14 straight through?
No.
You wouldn't have driven 10 straight through?
We were trying. We couldn't.
But because you were already back so far, you chose to stop? That makes sense.
Because when you're driving through Pennsylvania, those that live in Pennsylvania, I apologize. This is probably like going to sound bad, but it's far and few between. It's like the middle of nowhere. Everything is the middle of nowhere. Like every town we stopped at.
So you had to make a choice to stop.
Oh yeah, because you'll see signs that say next rest stop 45 miles, and it's like 45 miles. Like I've got to make a decision now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so you're driving through, I guess what would be the Appalachian Mountain, or to be Smoky Mountains? No, Appalachian Mountains.
I think it's Appalachian, but
it is the Appalachian Mountains. So you're driving through the Appalachian Mountains, and you will literally see nothing for 30 miles besides just trees beautiful views.
Sounds lovely.
But when it's raining and dark,
Yeah.
you don't see anything. So all you see is just the road in front of you, and you're only going 40 miles an hour because all the cars in front of you are only allowing you to go 40.
That's fair.
That was the most painful part of the whole trip. But once we got there, amazing weather. So it was worth it.
Which is good, yeah. I mean, it sucks to drive in the rain and whatnot, but I'm glad it was good once you got there.
So, but we're not talking about our trip. We're talking about fall gardening.
We talk about everything. Yes, we're going to talk about fall gardening.
Talk about fall.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to talk about that because my body is so ready for fall.
He woke up, he's like, I'm so cold.
Well, that comes with it. That comes with the territory. My body takes about a month to acclimate.
Jess says you should have come to Maine. She was ready to host you.
See, we were going to. We were definitely going to. That was on our list. We were actually going to spend. So how this was going to work was we were going to wake up super early on Wednesday and get to New York City late Wednesday. Stay a full day, so like stay through Thursday.
Yeah. Which Cindy had to be thrilled about going to New York because
she
talks about New York.
Yeah, she loved it. I loved it too. Yeah. A lot of fun. But we're going to stay one day in New York City and then, like a day and a half in New York City. Drive up to Connecticut, stay a day in Connecticut, just kind of checking it out. And then, so that'd take us to Friday. And then spend Saturday in Maine, all day in Maine, Saturday.
Yeah.
And then start driving back 1 day, 2 day home. So we'd be home on Monday. But we found out that we were getting a garlic shipment and a bunch of other stuff was happening. So Cindy and I were like, you know what? We've had
our fun. Let's go.
Had our fun. We've enjoyed it. And so we decided let's plan a trip number 2.
Oh,
just a shorter trip. For next spring, we're planning on going out to either Maine or New York City for like the whole trip, just so we can really see the town.
That'll be nice. Yeah. Connecticut, I wish I got to spend more time in Connecticut. As you know, Jake went to Yale, so that's out in Connecticut. And so I only got to go, like when we went, it was like school related things, like went to go watch him play football or his graduation I went out for. But Connecticut is beautiful. I wish I got to see more of it. I will someday.
Very pretty. We visited 3 little kind of like oceanside towns in Connecticut. Absolutely amazing. Totally, like it's worth a trip.
How's the sea glass?
The sea glass in Connecticut was actually really good. Okay. We found a decent amount. I was so bummed we didn't get to go to Maine though, because that was like that's the sea glass capital of the East Coast, I guess. But fall gardening.
We're allowed to chat first, Luke. This is my show.
It's your
how
show.
It works.
I know. I just don't want to talk about my trip the whole time.
We wanted to know. I mean, we're invested. It's fine. Yes. Randy says my monstera got. I'm gonna not pronounce that now. Last word, because I'm not gonna do it well, Randy. Got mealy bugs again. I'm so done. You've had that like 3 or 4 times, Randy.
Mealy bugs are tricky. I would recommend, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but there's something called a mealy bug destroyer. It sounds really cool. It's a beneficial insect that you can buy online. I had mealy bugs on.
We've talked about releasing bugs indoors, and not all of us are thrilled about it.
Well, the thing is, these are really, really super small. Like
that weirds me out more.
They're not big.
Now I can't see them, and they're everywhere.
They are beneficial. I used them on my citrus tree like about 3 years ago. I bought them on, can't remember which place I bought them, but I think it's called Agro Organics. They sell the ladybugs and all the other stuff.
Yeah, Agro, yeah.
And I bought these mealy bug destroyers, and they worked. They worked.
You're gonna give it a go, Randy? That could work. Yeah, we talk about the dawn but I'm wondering if, because you've had this like 3 or 4 times, you might not be taking care of it completely, because it can start off really small. And are you getting the tops, the bottoms? I mean, you know this stuff. I don't know. You're having a mealy bug problem, bro.
The other thing I was going to say, too, is maybe try sticking it outside if you still have more weather, like nice weather.
Maybe just, but I mean, time-wise, he'd have to transition it all the way out and transition it all the way back. Does he have time?
It may be worth it. I'm not sure. I know for, like, our coffee tree, we had...
Thanks, North Star.
We had mealy bugs on our coffee tree.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds. And I didn't think you could get them on the coffee tree. But we set it outside like we do normally. And within 2 weeks, they were all gone.
Jenny, I won't tell your boss. It's okay. Welcome.
Ugh, we don't use that word.
Okay, yeah, we are going to talk about fall. Luke was talking about how he got his beds ready for fall.
Yep.
Farmer Jake and I are working on it. We have a lot of it ready, but it's a lot of space.
Have you guys planted your garlic yet?
No. Do we still have garlic for sale? I still need
Yeah,
to buy garlic.
we actually do. We just put a whole bunch of new garlic in, including some new varieties. So we just got that in yesterday.
What do we got now?
There is the early Italian, which is a soft neck. There is a I know there's an early Italian, and I think there's one called Silver Rose.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of that one. I know we have a different rose one.
Nootka Rose.
Nootka Rose, yeah.
Nootka Rose, yep. But we got a bunch in. Tons and tons. I think we got just shy of 1,500 pounds of garlic in. So it's good garlic haul.
Yeah, so I'm going to get that, and then we're going to plant it. Have you planted your garlic?
I planted my first little bit. I planted my hardnecks first. I still have to plant my softnecks, but I did not have a good selection of softnecks because they all sold out. They sold out in like about a day, which was really crazy.
Yeah, the South's ready.
So
give me my.
We had a bunch of hardnecks that had like broken, like the clothes had like broken in shipment.
Yeah.
So I took kind of all the rejects.
Yeah.
That I didn't want to. That we obviously weren't going to sell, and I just planted it in our garden.
Nice.
So I got to plant out. I got about 25% of my bed planted with my hardnecks.
We're hoping Jake wants to do 2 50-foot rows of garlic.
Okay. Yeah, that's a decent amount.
Yeah. A 50-foot bed, so I guess not just rows. So it's like, what, 3 rows per bed? It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, we're planting out about roughly 200 heads of garlic in our bed.
Is that just one bed that you get 200 in?
Yeah, 48 square feet. So it's...
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
all
good.
Right. How about you guys? Did you guys already get your garlic? Are you planting it? What do you got going? I thought late October, Southern Ontario. This does seem, in my opinion, a little early, but I've only been growing garlic 2 years. So
it's a tad bit early. It's a tad bit early. But in years past, what I realized is that I wasn't getting it in the ground as soon as I wanted. Like, it wasn't getting as established. It's important not to get it too established, but not. There's a fine line.
Fine line.
If you plant it too early, it'll grow too much, and then it dies back. And then it has a higher chance of flowering the next year.
Okay.
But if you plant it too late, it won't get established enough, and then it's smaller.
That was my trouble this past, because we just had, when I actually first started here, I don't even know what date it is. I think I've been here a year now. You know that?
Oh,
woohoo.
Nice. Congratulations.
When I first started here, it was just at the, tail end of our garlic season, and we had some garlic that was wanting to sprout here just in store. And so took some of it once we decided we're all done with it. And I think I put it in too late, which I've done pretty late before, but I was pushing it. And I only got, I don't know, like 20% growth.
So Suzanne asked a question.
Yeah, what's up?
That is actually, I think, really good. A lot of people ask this if you can grow softneck in Michigan. And you definitely can. Mm-hmm. We have really good success with growing softneck in Michigan.
I haven't done it for the new varieties, of course, because I just learned about them. But I did a blog post and talked about the couple softnecks that are viable in the northern half of the United States.
Softnecks are typically seen as like more warm loving varieties of garlic.
Right.
But I have never had and it could be just Michigan too.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people like some of our gardeners up in like Wisconsin and North Dakota, further north than Michigan is, they really struggle with growing softneck.
Okay.
But I've never had an issue. In fact, some of my softneck is better than some of my hardneck sometimes, which is surprising.
As in, what's better, the size of it or like what?
Size of it, just the so
the
garlic will fracture.
Right.
Like it fractures and splits. A lot of my softneck will stay nice and tight for a long time. My hardnecks will fracture a whole lot sooner.
Well, that means you're just you plant your hardnecks. You got to harvest your hardnecks earlier then, because you should be harvesting before they fracture.
Oh no, I'm talking about after I harvest. Like after I harvest and they're in storage, they will as the cloves dry out and as they separate, they'll crack. Yeah, and so
interesting.
And that causes them to dry out and get all leathery and kind of gross.
Yeah.
So yeah. I've had a lot more success with softnecks than I do hardnecks, but I plant a whole lot more softnecks than I do hardnecks as well.
Really?
I plant like 3 to 1. Yeah.
And just because your soft store better, which is a little on the back side?
They just get a little bigger. They store a little longer for me.
It's a little backwards.
And you get a few more heads. You get a few more cloves on a head than you do with a hardneck.
See, I don't care about clove number. I care about clove size. I
That is a good point.
I hate peeling tiny cloves. And yes, I'll do like the jar trick where you put them in a mason jar and just shake the living crap out of it.
That's a cool trick, by the way.
And it works really well. Or when I'm cooking, and you all know I don't measure garlic, so I'm like, 1 clove, how about a head? And so I'll just cut the head right in half and like pinch it all out. That works too. But I hate peeling small cloves.
Have you ever, speaking of garlic, keep it on the garlic train.
Fair.
And then we'll get back to fall gardening in a second. But have you ever peeled a bunch of garlic and stored it in a jar with water? Like they do at the store?
Not with water. I've done it with oil, though. I've never thought to do it with water. I thought about fermenting. I want to play around with fermenting this fall.
I'd love to try doing black garlic. Black garlic is...
I don't really know what that is.
So I don't really know what it is. Well, it's like a...
I feel like I've heard of it, but
I don't exactly know what they do. It's kind of like... I don't want to say rotten garlic, because that sounds bad. But they literally just like let garlic sit in like a humid environment, and it just...
mold. Woohoo.
It's like a warm, humid environment. And
really?
And it just turns like black and really buttery and spread. It's amazing. It is absolutely downright amazing. But Cindy tried doing this for the first time. She took garlic, both minced and whole, threw it in these little mason jars full of water, a bunch of it. And it stored for months in the fridge. Months.
And then that brine at the end would be great to like pour over something.
Actually, yeah, when we made pasta dishes, we had like a little bit of garlic water.
Oh, dang. This sounds good.
It was really solid, and it lasted so long in the fridge.
That's awesome.
And it was convenient.
So I have like salt cellars, and I had my friend Potter make me a large one for my garlic, and it stores so well. I don't know what it is about it. It stores really. I've had garlic for over a year in one of them, and they're all just still fresh as can be. Okay, so was it Wicked who asked? Sorry if I'm wrong, Wicked Awesome. They were asking, have you done garlic in containers? They're asking because they're moving it at some point. Don't remember why.
Yeah, you can do garlic in containers. You just have
Anything special?
You have to have a big enough container, and you have to mulch it really well.
That is a question I had for you, because I mulched last year just because it was like I tossed all this scrap in my garden and I happen to have a bale of straw and I mulched it, and I think that was part of my downfall too. What'd you choose?
You've got to mulch it.
Yeah.
Super like
with what?
Really deep. I usually mulch it with animal bedding.
Okay, I was wondering if that's
I use animal bedding. That's all I use.
Last year you had told me super deep as well, and I think that was my downfall because it got so matted. But I use straw, not animal bedding. Yeah,
I don't use I don't use animal bedding for any other type of mulch other than garlic.
Right.
It's the only thing I use it for is for garlic, and I love it. Like I started using, I think 3 years ago, and I got the tip from an Amish farmer. An Amish farmer told me that it's one of the best for garlic.
Okay.
And he told me that like it's really loose, it's very lightweight, it holds on to it insulates the soil really well, and it doesn't.
But it doesn't mat.
It doesn't mat down.
That was my big problem.
It doesn't mat down. Well, it'll kind of like begin to kind of turn wet and compress a little bit nearing spring, but.
And then what? You pull it in spring?
No, I just leave it. I leave it right on. Yeah. And then as it dries out, it decompresses. It like dries out and kind of fluffs up again. It's really cool stuff, you guys. I highly recommend it.
Could you just use leaves if you don't want to go out and buy the animal bedding? Like chopped leaves, dried leaves from fall?
Those would hold on to a lot of moisture, and that's your biggest issue. Okay. With garlic, it holds on to too much moisture, it's going to rot.
Right.
The garlic will.
Mine did. Lots of it.
And so, yeah, garlic is really particular about its growing conditions.
Okay. North Star fermented garlic and honey. Still have some in the fridge. Tell me what you do with that. That sounds so good.
Please explain that, because I've heard of fermented garlic and honey. I think I actually saw a video of it on. It wasn't Munchies. It was it's a YouTube channel. It's a big cooking channel on YouTube. Brad from It's Alive.
Interesting. And he talked about fermented garlic and honey.
Yes. And I know someone will probably know what I'm talking about. It's Alive with Brad. I know I've seen it somewhere. He also did black garlic on there.
Margaret said she mulched hers with a ton of straw. I think part of my downfall, well, I had a lot. It was like everything played in. It was too late. And my straw was too wet, and I did it really thick. Yeah. I'm not saying you can't mulch with straw. it didn't work for me in like the time frame I had. I love garlic, but it doesn't love me back anymore. I'm so sorry for you, chicken patty. I think I would love it anyways.
Yeah,
I don't have a choice.
I am really surprised with how the return on your investment with garlic. Like if you buy garlic from the grocery store, we're talking 50 to 75 cents a head for garlic. Organic, it's like $1.
Yeah.
You can grow so much garlic
in such a small space. And what I mean,
we grow an entire year's of garlic in one bed.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Last year I planted my garlic in my tomato bed and it rotted. Now I know why. Too damp. Okay.
Yep, you got to be really careful with the moisture.
Yeah,
it is super prone to rotting. That papery skin on the outside of the garlic, if it rots, that's its only level of protection from the outside.
Right.
Like that is its protection. So if it's too wet, it'll eat away at that. It basically buys it time. So like the longer it takes to rot, the better it's going to be. If it rots too soon, like if it rots in the fall, that little garlic clove has to last all winter with no protection. It's going to be gone.
No, that makes sense. You put your shavings down right away, right? Or do you wait until it sprouts?
I wait until they start to sprout.
Okay.
If I don't see sprouts, like sometimes they don't sprout.
I didn't do that last year. That could have been another downfall of my straw experiment. Is I put it in, put the straw on, tuck it in. Said goodnight.
Goodbye.
I'm new to garlic. We're learning. Anywho, and it's just that pine shaving that you get from any animal supply store is what he's talking about for that.
We get huge bales of it. It's
just like the compressed bales. Yep.
Yeah, they use it for like rabbit bedding and stuff.
Right.
Or chicken.
My garlic. If you guys are throwing questions to us, do put them in all caps. It makes it way easier for me to see. So please do.
Are you and Jake planting any fall vegetables?
We have like root vegetables down. Mainly roots. Mainly roots is what we have.
Yeah.
Going down.
We just planted rutabaga.
And like we'll put. I put new kale in the ground. I haven't been out there in a couple weeks. I'm slacking. Well, this is we've talked about this. This is when Jake and I divide and conquer. Is that he takes over the garden and I take over preserving. Okay. And so I basically stop at the farm, take as much as I can harvest to get, and I get out of there. Because preserving is like a full-time job in itself.
Oh, you're telling me. We just put up it was 15 quarts of pizza sauce.
Yeah.
And just 15 quarts took so long because we don't have a big setup.
Sure.
So you do like
do you use a roaster? We've talked about this.
It's a big stock pot.
So we use a roaster now. Someone had clued me into it at the beginning of this year. Is my best friend because I could put the electric roaster somewhere else in the house and it frees up my whole stove. So if I need to run like 3 or 4 water baths, I can run them all while still get an electric roaster. That is my tip for you.
Anthony Shea asks, how late is too late to seed plant spinach this fall? It's a really good question. Yeah, spinach, it needs about a week and a half to germinate, but as long as you have enough time to germinate, you can grow it. Because spinach will grow through frost, freezing weather. As soon as it unthaws, right? As soon as it unthaws. Backwards, yeah.
No.
But people in Michigan do use the word unthaw. I've heard so many people.
Can you unthaw the chicken? Oh, odd. I feel like I've heard that sentence.
Right?
It just like
unthaw. Yeah, can you unthaw the chicken? Unthaw means you refreeze. But like my grandparents all used unthaw. My mom and dad used unthaw. Like it's a thing.
I think it is.
It is definitely a thing. Unthaw, even though it means to literally freeze. So, anyways, once it thaws and it gets above freezing, the spinach will just come out of dormancy and just start to
rocking and rolling again.
Yeah, start to grow again. So yeah, there's always time to plant that.
Kale too.
Kale, spinach, cilantro. Have you grown fall cilantro?
No.
Oh, you gotta try it.
I got time. I could probably tuck that down.
It is a fantastic one to grow.
I wonder if I'd like it more when it's cold out. I'm a soapy cilantro person.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Then you won't like it. It's just as soapy as it would normally be.
Never mind.
It doesn't go to seed as fast.
Oh.
But
you know how like the cool temperatures change flavor on different things?
Right, with like kale and stuff.
No.
So, yeah, there's still lots of time to plant tons of stuff, actually. We just started our third succession of radishes yesterday, in fact.
Nice.
So we got those.
Yeah. I got beets, carrots, lettuce, peas, radish, leeks, onions planted for autumn. Okay, so Luke thinks I'm a big fat liar. I planted some onion starts last year in fall, and they grew into massive onions this spring. And he's like, "That's a lie," and I was like, "It could be witchcraft. I have no idea, but it happened." He's like, that would never work.
I'm just blown away. I'm skeptical in a good way because it sounds too good to be true. And so I'm gonna try it.
I'm trying it again. I'm putting seeds down.
I'm gonna try it. I've never heard of it.
I'm gonna try it again because if that works, I mean that would free up so much space for me, and I'd have onions so early. So we're gonna try it again this year.
So basically, what you did was you planted onion seeds, and they essentially were sets for the next year, but they were just growing in the soil, and you never pulled them out.
And I got the biggest onions I've ever seen.
See, that blows
from
me away.
Me.
Everything I've ever read about onions,
it doesn't make sense.
I can't yet advocate it because I have not seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, honestly, it came out of neglect. Happens. You guys know my garden comes out of neglect.
But if it is in fact like a valid method, it could be one of our this could be a game changer videos. People love those, by the way.
This could be Haley's game changer video.
I will give you credit. I will fully credit you. Don't you worry. You got it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try it again this year. Try it with me. We'll see what happens. Just put some seeds down with enough time for them to germ, and then once the next season comes, just see if they keep going. Mine did. I don't know. It was weird. It could have been a fluke. Anywho, I'm leaving all of my sad onions to see. Yes, do it. Just leave. I mean, there's no harm in leaving them. And I think it's a great idea. Ha. Hey, Luke, giant crimson tomato update. I was so invested in the story.
So as we've always said, it's still in production. We're kind of still trying to get the seed up. Well, you've probably heard this before. Everyone always asks about the giant crimson. And my biggest gripe with it is that it doesn't produce enough seed. I can see why it went extinct, truly. Oh. I mean, it only produces on average about 10 seeds per tomato. So in my small little garden, I mean, you've seen my garden.
Yeah.
If I'm going to grow enough for 20,000 people,
yeah,
how am I going to get, every year, consistently
10 seeds?
On average, 10 seeds.
I have cherry tomatoes that pop out more than 10 seeds.
Some tomatoes quite literally have almost no seeds at all. I've cut open numerous that don't have any. That don't have any at all.
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
And so I have to find someone. In fact, we did find somebody. It's because of the contentiousness of the whole giant crimson tomato saga. It's on the DL, but we did find somebody. You probably know who it is. Oh, I'll tell you after.
Okay. Who's gonna grow up for us?
Who's gonna grow up for us?
Dun dun dun.
In fact, you were there when they said they would grow up for us.
Dun dun dun. I do know who it is.
So we had, and you didn't actually. This would be a first for you. We had people threatening to come onto our property to steal the tomato. So we had to. So the first year when we grew it, we had to put it. Actually, we had to grow it.
I've ever heard.
Because so many people wanted it that people were offering $200 for a seed. And I said, I'm not going to do it for the money. I'm going to sell it at the same price as normal. I just want to make sure I have enough to satisfy everyone's demand. And so we had people threatening to come onto our property. They knew where our garden was. And so they were threatening to come steal it. They were threatening to, and so
I could just picture people in all black, diving and rolling on the ground trying to get to your garden to snatch a tomato.
I mean, it sounds absolutely crazy.
Sounds hysterical.
But we weren't going to take a risk.
You could write a
so we ended up growing it in our basement underneath grow lights. the tomato heist.
The tomato heist.
The great tomato heist.
Yes.
It's like the Italian job for tomatoes. Or Ocean's 11 tomato edition.
There you go.
But so we ended up actually growing it in our basement. We didn't have enough grow lights to grow out a bunch of it, so it was just enough to kind of keep the seed going. Then last year we threw it in a bed, grew out a full bed of it in our garden, and didn't have anybody steal any that I know of.
Why didn't you just label it something else?
Well, you just gave away all my secrets.
Oh, dang it.
No. So and then this year I planted out a bunch at my parents' house. which nobody knows where that's at anyways because they moved.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I have a bunch over there that I'm just continuing the production. And then next year, we're going to go to the unspecified source to give them enough seed. They said they can grow up to a half acre.
Wow.
They have a half acre that they can dedicate to our tomatoes. And so we would just pay them to grow them for us. And it's a lot less work for me. It's a lot more land for growing it. It's just fantastic. So that's where we're at with the giant crimson tomato saga.
Level Horizons, it says skipped me. I'm guessing I skipped a question. Can you put it up again? Yeah, if I miss it, throw it in again. You're not going to bother me. It kind of scrolls by pretty quick, so I try to get what I can. Where can I plant some garlic that it won't interfere with my spring planting?
That's a good question. We get that a lot because garlic is kind of we call it it's almost like a leap season crop. That's what I've called it. So you plant it in the fall and you harvest it in the summer.
But you got to think garlic grows so close to the surface. I mean, I'd almost rather space it out and use more space so that way I can interplant in between. I would probably tuck things down as they're germinating. My garlic's finishing up,
So I've talked about this you can do that for sure. Because once they start growing, you know where they're at.
You know where they're at, yeah.
But I will actually allocate certain beds. I'll rotate. I don't really believe in crop rotation as much in the home garden. We talked about this before, how I don't think crop rotation is something that home gardeners really have to worry about because we can regularly re-amend the soil to basically perfect levels every single year, twice a year, whenever we want.
Yeah.
And so I will crop rotate, basically saying, okay, this year this is gonna be my garlic bed. And I'll tie in a plant that I can plant later in the season, like beans, like bush beans or beets. I will piggyback off that. So I'll plant my garlic. And this only works if you have a lot of bed space, obviously. Sure. But I'll plant my garlic in the fall. I'll say, okay, I'm going to harvest this in the 4th of July.
You're planning on what it's going to be after.
Yeah. So after I harvest the garlic, what can I piggyback off that to have a full season of stuff growing?
That makes sense.
And then my spring crops, I'll just move those to another raised bed. I'll put my lettuce somewhere else. And then when my lettuce is harvested, I'll plant another summer crop. So I might plant bush beans there, or I might plant a late harvest of tomatoes, like I did this year with my fall tomatoes. Have you ever done fall tomatoes?
I haven't. What did you do? Determinants?
I did determinants. Yeah, determinate aromas, and you got to check out the video I did on the harvest video.
Huge.
40. I weighed it out on my bathroom scale. I thought it was 45. It came at 47 pounds.
He's oddly good at guessing.
Really close.
It's really creepy.
Fruit flies are insane this year.
They're bad. Terrible.
Everyone hit me in the forehead. 47 pounds all at once. It was amazing.
That is incredible. I need to try that. I'm doing different things with my tomatoes next year. That's coming. But I saw a couple questions I want to hit. I've had, can I plant garlic in my asparagus bed come through a couple times?
Yeah.
Even though they're going to won't they be competing because your asparagus comes up spring too?
Yeah, but I typically, by this time of year, my asparagus is already...
It's ferned.
It's ferned out and it's done. I just clip it back. Because all the energy...
You do clip it. I've heard mixed reviews. I don't know what to do.
Clip it back.
Clip it? Don't clip it? What do I do?
Clip it back.
Me. I don't know.
I clip it back. I clip my asparagus back. Got it. I got it. I saved you. There was a fruit fly that was going to end up in your coffee.
Before we started, there was a fruit fly that landed on my face, and he, out of reflex, went, I was like, are you just going to hit me in the face? He's like, but there was a fruit fly. He hates them. It's going to be worth it.
They fly in your eyes, your nose, your ears, on your hand, and your coffee. It's crazy this year.
Okay.
Have you guys had... Side note, let us know if you guys have had bad fruit fly problems.
More than normal.
More than normal. It has been horrible this year, and everyone that I've talked to has said it's been horrible.
Oh, I found a secret for fruit flies. Okay, are all of you making cowboy candy? Because if you are, that's my secret to fruit flies. Because when I can up my cowboy candy, I always have so much brine left. I can a couple things of brine just to put on chicken and whatnot. But the brine in a little cup on your counter is boom, 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 boom. They're you can see the flight pattern coming in. They get so excited.
You can see the flight pattern.
Yes.
I love it.
So that is my one tip. I do have another tip for you guys that I learned this year that I think I'm going to share.
Yeah, let me hear it.
You know how we're always battling our plant markers fading in the sun?
Yeah.
And I know we have the good pen. Mm-hmm. That is helpful. it's way better than other pens, but I'll still see some slight fading. I accidentally came across the best way to prevent that. All you have to do is you tuck your plant marker further into the soil.
Oh.
Just enough so you can like see the tip of it so you can pull it back out.
That's a good idea.
And it keeps the marker on it like perfect.
Because the sun can't fade it.
Sun can't fade it.
And
the soil's not going to do anything to it. So tuck it in the soil. That's a
really good idea.
Best tip
Thanks
for you.
for that.
You're welcome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That does bring up a complete side note. I know we're running a little low on time here.
We're good. We usually go until a quarter.
But a lot of people ask me, Luke, do you still learn new stuff? All the time. All the time. I've said this from the very beginning that you have to be
I just taught you 2 things in 30 seconds.
You have to be like a sponge. You have to be like a sponge, and you have to be open to absorbing information. And like you never stop. Like as soon as you think you know everything about something, that's when you stop learning.
Yeah.
And so like
humble yourselves a little bit and be ready to take it in.
I love that trick. Yeah. Just not dipping it, but like sticking it further down the soil. It's really cool.
North Star says put your markers to face north too. I'm here for that, but I put a lot of starts in the ground. That sounds like a whole nother task for me to go back and do. Maybe.
So real quick, I did want to ask you.
Try China markers.
I did want to ask you, have you ever planted fall potatoes?
Yes, we have. I'm pretty sure. I don't know about the Irish way. Jake said he was doing something fall potatoes. So he's doing something.
You plant them in the ground and you just mulch them really well and they sprout in the spring?
I have no doubt because last year we had potatoes planted in like 5 different places just because that's where we had space last year. Mm-hmm. And this year we have potatoes everywhere. So like if one got stuck down there, we just have potatoes sprouting up everywhere.
Without fail, every single year, the bed prior that like had potatoes always has like 1 or 2 that got forgotten.
The ones that came up from last year did not have potato beetles.
Oh.
So there's got to be something to that. So many experiments going on.
Yeah, we did a video on planting fall potatoes, and it was really contentious.
This year?
2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
It was called Planting Potatoes the Irish Way, I think. If there's anyone over in Ireland, you can confirm this.
Is Ireland's climate close to ours?
They get more fall rainfall.
Okay.
But they plant potatoes in both the spring and the fall. And they basically just put the potatoes in the ground in the fall because they have a lot of permafrost in the spring that they can't dig their potatoes. Well, they can't plant them as early. So
this gives them the earlier crop.
It gives them the earlier crop. They plant them in the fall, and then they plant one more like late spring, early summer for like a fall.
We do that.
And they get,
Interesting. We'll
see.
But
there were so many people that were like, "Oh, that doesn't work. That's false." I'm like,
Did you try it?
I talked to a person in Ireland that told me about this, and I tried it, and I can confirm it does work.
I have no doubt that it would work because, like I said, there were potatoes we missed on harvesting in the fall that sprouted and produced.
Now, it's not as early of a harvest as people would think. Like, it's not. You're not going to be harvesting potatoes in like May.
But it took one thing off your list. That's like my thing for this fall is I want to figure out how many things I can put in the ground now to take one more thing off my list come spring. So like I have flowers down. If Jake doesn't already have potatoes down, we'll toss some of those in the ground. I'm putting the onions down. The garlic goes down. These are things, not only am I like thrilled to be starting my 2022, that's so weird, garden. It's just one thing off my spring list. And I don't know about you, but my spring list is like this long.
There's a lot to maintaining a garden. Like anything you can do to help check those off the list.
Exactly.
I did want to grab this question real quick though, from Jared. Luke, do you grow any hybrids such as Sun Golds? As much as I love heirlooms, I have yet to find a cherry tomato as tasty as Sun Gold. So I
got one.
Yeah, I don't grow any hybrids. I only grow heirlooms. So that answers that.
Have you grown the tropical?
Oh, the tropical sunset
is my favorite cherry tomato known to man. It is so good. And like the longer you leave it on I started leaving some on the vine more or less because we still have 200 cherry tomato plants in the ground and I can only harvest so much. If you get them really ripe, it's just like boom, explosion. So good.
I like that one and champagne bubbles. Champagne bubbles I love that tomato.
I didn't love the white cherry. I did that this year. Do we have white cherry here?
We have white cherry.
Okay, yeah. I didn't love that
The skin is a little on the thick side. Is that what you noticed? The skin's a little thick.
Yes, and the flavor is low.
It could have been just the season too.
It very well could have been.
Because champagne bubbles and white cherry are really similar. And I grew champagne bubbles, and it blew my mind. It was so good. It was so sweet. It was more like a fruit than a tomato.
Honestly, blueberry and tropical took the cake for me. And I've kind of left some of the other cherry tomatoes. I've taken them in to dry them and whatnot. But for the most part, if I'm eating them, so good.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are fine growing are fine growing hybrids. I don't have anything against them. It's just that I like to practice saving my own seeds, and I like to have consistency with what I'm growing.
Majority of what's in our garden is all heirloom, but I walked through a store and saw sun gold, and I popped two of them in the ground. That and the chocolate cherry, because that's one of my favorite cherry tomatoes, and that's a hybrid. And so I have two of those, and I have two sun golds, and they sit at the end. But the tropical took the cake. Not over chocolate cherry. I still love that one.
Christina asks, I've been trying to get this answer forever. If I spray my zucchini, I apologize, Christina, if you've been asking this for a while, I didn't see this, but if I spray my zucchini with BT, will it help prevent the borers? You got an answer for that? Because
I've never used BT to use it, so you can tackle that next. But I'm going with my aluminum foil and my yellow bowls. They worked really well.
So I have a couple tricks that may help you. I just want to give you the floor in case you have any tips.
We've talked. I guess not everyone has. So I wrap the base of my zucchini plants in tin foil, and I also put out yellow plastic party bowls around with a little bit of water in them, and the borers, because it looks like the flower. And I put them really far away from my zucchini. And
why have we not talked about
this? You guys, can we mark this in history? I've taught him 3 new things today.
See, that is so cool. See, I've never even heard that one before.
Yeah.
Never heard that one. Now,
we got desperate at one point. We're like, what can we do?
I have done a couple things with really good success, but the thing that I've always I've wondered is is what I'm doing successful because it's successful, or is it successful because it's lucky? You're just catching it at a good time. You know what I'm saying? For instance,
the aluminum foil I've done 2 years. That I'm here for.
Right. So I actually spoke with an Amish farmer up in Brown City, and I asked him what he did for squash vine borers, and he said he simply just plants them either very early or very late in the season, away from prime squash vine borer seasons, because there's only one season when squash vine borers come out.
Sure.
So he plants them in a greenhouse, gets them growing very early, plants them super early in the spring, gets a harvest, and then all of July, he does not grow any zucchinis. And then after July, he plants his fall harvest zucchini in early August, when there's no more squash vine borers. And you just kind of have to know your season, whatever your season is for squash vine borers.
Yeah.
And then basically don't plant during that window. I've done that, and it's been really successful. My fall zucchinis are just starting to fruit right now.
Okay.
In basically almost October.
If you're ever overflowing with zucchini, let me know. I didn't get as much as I wanted to this year.
I planted just 6 plants for the fall, but it should be enough. I'll give you some. They don't fruit that much too, because the season can be colder.
True.
The second thing that I've done that works really well is I plant next to a lot of basil, because the scent of basil will mask the scent of the squash.
Jake and I did a lot of that, the interplanting. To prevent.
And that has, I think, worked really well. I've never had any problems. Coincidentally, the ones that I isolated, didn't have any near basil, got the squash vine borers. So it was only 1 year, so I don't know if it was circumstantial, so I'm not saying that it was definitive, but I feel personally, knowing what I know, that it was effective, and that was why.
Yeah, and we did more than just basil. I can't think of what else we had around it. We had, any of your very aromatic herbs. I suggest not to have an herb bed. Don't do it. I have an herb garden at my house, so my farm's not at the house, so I have an herb garden there, which is nice. I can just go out and grab. But I don't suggest it in just your normal garden. Your herbs should be interplanted everywhere, because it's better for them to have friends around instead of have the monoculture. It's better for your plants for the interplanting purposes and getting rid of other pests, deterrents, or as a crop trap. trap crop. There, I was like, that's backwards.
Yeah.
So I highly suggest get them in there. Don't do a single bed. Okay, yeah, the yellow sticky cards, we have them everywhere, and they're fine, but they do get a lot of good friends, too, and I don't like that. I get really sad if I find a spider on. And honestly, I live in a really old farmhouse, and I'm bugs
So,
everywhere.
fun fact about the yellow cards out in the garden, they are not intended to act as pest control. They're called sensor cards. Now, farmers will use them in greenhouses to kind of like mitigate, but still, for the most part, did you just have a fruit fly into your coffee? I just saw that in real time. Just like
that is the second time on camera that's happened to me, and we're not going to drink that coffee anymore.
I just saw that in real time. They're getting desperate now.
Yep.
So
not even good coffee.
Farmers will use. They're called sensor cards. Now, if you use them for like houseplants, like we use them around our houseplants to catch all the little fungus gnats, it will attract them, and you will definitely catch them. However, outside, it's only used to tell the population density. That's all it's for. It's completely, I don't want to say completely pointless, because you do catch some, but you also catch some beneficials as well. But
okay, tell me what they're trying to get at, though.
they're trying to see the population density. So for instance, peach farmers will put them in their peach trees to catch the oriental fruit moth, but they don't catch all of them. So they know that if they catch like 10 in 100 square feet, the population density is like one every 10 square foot, right?
Yeah.
And so they know how much pesticide to apply, how big the problem is, how
makes sense.
If you only catch one, the problem's not that bad. It's part of your.
It's no different than doing
integrated pest management.
Right. It's no different than when we're doing like mite treatments for bees. We have to check our mite counts to know where we're at, to know if it's time or whatever.
Exactly. It's part of an IPM, which you and Cindy talked about.
We did, yeah. Integrated pest management. That is really...
So part of it, that's part of the monitoring process.
Yeah.
And then once you monitor the situation, you can assess on next steps on how to control it. So a lot of people buy those yellow sticky cards and just throw them all over the place. Like, I'm going to catch the problem. You are catching some of the problem, but it's really indicative of if the problem is bigger or if it's not much of a problem at all.
That makes a lot of sense. That's interesting.
But that's why they're called sensor cards. Yep.
I'm afraid to open my mouth at this point. I think we need to close it down, because if I eat another fruit fly, I'm going to be really sad.
So, I think we probably should, it's 10:30 and we got some seeds to pack.
First time this year growing Romanesco, and they are all bolted. Use shade cloth for the hot summer here in North Idaho. What can I do next year? Plant it very early or plant it in the fall. Don't do it through the hot summer. It's not worth it. Like, that's part of our game plan for next year, is there are certain things that we will not be growing in the summer. It took way too much of our time to get a subpar harvest from.
Oh, David the Good's on. No
David
way.
the Good.
David the Good has a really big YouTube channel. And David, thank you so much for popping on. That really means a lot.
Extra protein, chicken patty. I know.
David the Good has a really good YouTube channel. Go check it out.
All right, guys. Yes, hope I can catch the beginning of this. Definitely. As soon as we're done, you can replay it. If you have any questions, remember, you can always put them in the comments section below this video. Follow us over at Root Shoots and Coffee, all spelled out, on Instagram. Tag us in all your fun things. He's laughing at me.
No, I'm stoked to see your outro, because I usually watch the outro and I'm part of the outro. It's been an honor being a guest. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. He won't be here every week, guys.
Don't ask, and I will say this: don't ask for me next week or the week after. If
you ask too much, I won't bring him back.
If it's circumstantial, I'd be honored to be a guest, but I don't like stealing the spotlight, because Haley's absolutely amazing.
No, I think we're gonna do a tomato one at some point, because like we were kind of touching on things, but I think we'll bring you back and talk about tomato varieties.
But I think it's really fun to see you and another person kind of just have that conversation. No. And
it's a good time.
The fruit flies are getting me.
I know
they're dive bombing me here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for today's Root Shoots and Coffee. It's always a pleasure to interact with all of you. And remember that we just put garlic in stock as well. So go check out.
He's here for the shameless plugs.
Go check out
That
garlic.
one was
No,
Kirsten's
go check
move.
out garlic because I know that it's super time sensitive and I don't want people to miss out. So just go check that out. And that's all I have to say.
Well, we're all done for today. Have a wonderful week, and we can't wait to have you back next week.